7.1 Part 3. We're multiplying and dividing rational expressions. I want to divide these two. The first thing we have to do is to look for factoring, always. 2 minus t does not factor. I'm going to put it in parentheses. It has to cancel out as a unit or not at all. T minus 2 also does not factor. Put it in parentheses. Now that we've done that, it's a division, so keep it, change it, flip it. This is 2 minus t over 8 times 6 over t minus 2. Now let's look for cancellations. Top and bottom, nothing factors on either one. But here, the 6 and the 8, they're both divisible by 2. If I divide that by 2, I get a 3. And here I get a 4. Now what about these two? Well, they don't cancel out right now, but we do have a trick where it said that if all you have different is the order of subtraction, then you can factor a -1 out of one of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rewrite this. And for this one, I'm going to factor out a -1. I could have done it with this one as well. It doesn't really matter. I factor out a -1 here. It flips the subtraction around. And now that I've done that, that and that will cancel out. That's a 1 down here now because everything canceled. And I'll multiply across. -1 times 3, -3. 4 times 1, 4. This answer is -3/4. Okay, harder problem. We have to factor first. I'm looking at these two, and neither of these factor. They don't have a GCF. There's no squares involved. Those are going to work as a unit or not at all. I need to try to factor this. First step, pull out your factoring guide. Do you have a GCF? No, I don't have one in the bottom either. I can check both of these as I go along. I have 3 terms. Do I have perfect squares on the ends? That's not a perfect square, neither is that. Okay, so that sends us to the 6.2 method, which is where we are looking for two numbers for this first one that multiply to a -5 and add to a +4. Things that multiply to 5 are 1 and 5. If I make the 1 negative, we multiply to a -5 and they add to a +4. So this top one factors as p minus 1 times p plus 5. And this is over. For the second one, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to a 10 and add to a 7. Things that multiply to 10, 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's it. If these are both positive, they multiply to +10 and add to +7. So this factors as p plus 2 times p plus 5. And I'm recopying the second one. Okay, now let's keep this one the same, change this, and flip this one. So I have p minus 1 times p plus 5 over p plus 2 times p plus 5 times p plus 4 over p minus 1. I'm taking a second to make sure I've copied everything correctly, and I think I'm good. So let's look for cross cancellations and vertical cancellations. Here I have a p plus 5 and a p plus 5. Those go. Nothing cancels here. I have a p minus 1 on each of these, so those cancel out. Now multiply straight across, and I have p plus 4 over p plus 2. You can leave your answer like this. You can change it without the parentheses, but you cannot go any further. These are not factored anymore. They have to cancel out as a unit, or they can't cancel out at all. this is your answer.